Welcome to He's Hot, but Something's Off with me, just Joey T. I am in a zip-up hoodie right now. This is what I look like most days when I'm at home. I have sweatpants on, I've got a t-shirt on, and then I put on some sort of jacket because of my stubborn refusal to turn the heat up past 68 degrees. Because I'm trying to save money. It's not even cold. I'm in Los Angeles. It's not cold. It is, today was 60 or 61 degrees Fahrenheit. That was the high temperature for the day. The overnight lows are like, I don't know, somewhere in the 40s. Not even low 40s, honestly. Or maybe it's 50-ish. It's actually 50 something. It's not 40s. It's like 50, low 50s. That's not actually cold. Now, think of the people that are up in Canada. Think of people in New York, in Chicago. It gets so much colder. But for people in Southern California, this is about as cold as it gets. You know, if the highs of the day dipped into the 50s, that's a cold day in Los Angeles. I'm just not built for the cold. I grew up in Canada, but we were in Vancouver. Vancouver weather, Pacific Northwest weather, it doesn't get that cold. It gets to like freezing-ish, and it gets into like the low 30s, high 20s, like at worst, usually. So we don't even see snow every year. Get us a lot of rain in the Pacific Northwest, though. So it's my college days, pretty much every year, it was just like dark, gloomy, light rain, misty, wet roads, driving into the campus at like 7:30 a.m. We have to set out to be on campus by 8 a.m. Cloudy, dark, no sunlight all day long for months on end from October into February. That was my recollection of the weather in college for like those like 5 months. It was just drizzly, rain, and then to walk between the buildings and everything, you just always had to have an umbrella. It was just like hardly ever any sunlight, or maybe it was just those particular years that I was in college. Anyways, continue the trend from the last couple of episodes. I thought I would kick off with some more gay cruise advice. By the way, I tried to Google search, just to come up with some topics. Gay cruise advice, and Google interpret that to mean gay cruising, not taking a gay cruise like a cruise ship, gay cruising as in like looking, you know. So yeah, my Google history is now ruined. I have to go purge it somehow. But anyways, I thought I'd lead in with a little bit talk about some gay cruise ship tips and advice, and then I will switch off and ramble about something else afterwards. So what I thought to talk about today is some general high-level tips, advice for those of you who are curious what the experience on a gay cruise ship is like. If you've never been on a cruise ship and you're thinking about, you know, you've never been on a cruise ship of any kind, gay, straight, whatever, and you want to go on a gay cruise as your first cruise experience. So I can give you some like very high-level tips so that you have some better idea of what to expect, because a lot of the cruise videos online, including my own, they don't really talk about, you know, what the more mundane parts of the experience. My videos obviously focus on a lot of the parties, which there are, but I want to take you through more of so what it actually kind of sort of feels like beyond what you see in a lot of the videos or the articles that you see online. Maybe a little bit more like how some of the logistics works, and some tips I have if you're considering going on a cruise for the very first time, and for your first cruise you happen to choose a gay cruise. So yeah, let's go give that a crack. The first thing I want to talk about is, you know, like whether you want to go solo, or whether maybe if you're have a significant other or significant others that you're going to go with, or maybe there are a group of friends that you can rally together and kind of go together as well. So if you have significant others that you want to go with, that's great. Obviously, you all can book a room together and stay together. That's pretty cut and dry. I would recommend, it's a bit of a nicer, less stressful experience to go with friends if this is your very first time going on any kind of cruise ship, just because it's such a different environment that, you know, it could be like you might feel anxious going by yourself, or it could be like a little nerve-wracking just because, yeah, it's just such a unique experience, and it's kind of different from anything else you have on land, for example. So if you can kind of rally up a group of people, it doesn't be a big group, even just like 1 or 2 friends, you could easily fit 2 people to a cabin. If you have more friends, then you can all book together and get adjacent rooms and kind of be neighbors. It's really cute. So, however, if you do want to go solo, there are a lot of solo cruisers that go on these cruises, actually. And it's very easy to kind of meet people and meet friends. And I get into maybe some tips about how to meet people. Just generally, doesn't matter if you're traveling solo or with your significant others or with a group of friends. But yeah, no problem at all. In Atlantis' case, for example, they do have a cabin roommate matching program where you can sign up for it optionally if you are a solo traveler, and then Atlantis will, I think, they will kind of have you provide some basic information, and then based on the information you provide, it's like a little survey or form you fill up, and based on that information, they will try to match you up with someone else who's a solo traveler, and then you two will share a room together. So rooms, you know, are not the cheapest, but rooms are kind of sort of all-inclusive. You get, you know, free food. It includes, like, the room obviously includes, like, pretty much nearly all the entertainment. It doesn't include alcohol. It doesn't include the fancier restaurants. But most of the activities, all the parties are free as well. So, yeah. And if you're the type that is a little bit more like reserved or introverted, it's totally an option to just get a room all by yourself. Obviously, the cost will be more expensive, but there are definitely options if you're a solo traveler. If you feel like you'd be up for, you know, sharing a room with someone, then they have that match program. Otherwise, I have gotten rooms by myself as well, and I also have roommates. So either way, it would be fine. So fast forward to boarding day, right? So you arrive at the port. You might have to fly there if it's not coming from where the city you are. And the very general process is actually like pretty easy. If you've taken a plane, been at the airport before, you know, it's kind of sort of like the same process, but not as crappy or as anxiety inducing as some airports and the flying experience could be. By the way, the airports in the US are like really, really crappy. They're like nowhere like some of the international airports that I've been to, and just dreary to go to these some of these airports. But anyway, staying on the topic of cruise ships and cruise terminals. So you go to the cruise terminal. You'll be told before the cruise exactly where to go, the address of the cruise terminal, and you will be also be told exactly when to show up. There's like a time range that you have to show up, right? It's like for an airplane, you show up like 2 hours before. Kind of sort of similar thing with a cruise ship. It's a pretty easy process. You roll up to the curb, and if you have larger pieces of luggage, there are going to be porters that are curbside that would take your larger pieces of luggage, and you can just let them know what stateroom and which cruise ship you're going to be going on, because there might be multiple ships there. And then they will bring that onto the ship for you and deliver it to your stateroom later that night. And then you can just keep your carry-on luggage with you. You go into the building, there's a security, they scan your luggage, it's kind of sort of like airport TSA style. They put your luggage through the x-ray, they scan your persons as well. And then afterwards, you go into the check-in counter, and then you just do a little quick check-in. They register you, they check your ID or passport, things like that. And then afterwards, you get to board onto the ship. So there's like this little walkway and this like little like ziggity-zaggity bridge that connects the terminal onto where the cruise ship is. And at that moment is really where you feel like, oh my God, my vacation is starting. Because up until this point, it's just like, okay, we need to like fly to where the port is. We need to like take an Uber or a car or a shuttle or whatever to the terminal. You're like lugging all this luggage with you. And then now, okay, you have to like check your luggage in with the porters. Okay, now you have to go to security. It just, you know, like it's not hard, but it's just like once you actually, like check all your luggage in, you're through security, and you're also through like the check-in counter. And then the next step is when you actually like take the little bridge, and you can like see this giant cruise ship in front of you, and you're like walking towards it. And then at the end of the little bridge, you step off of it and you're like on the ship. That's where it really hits you that, oh my God, I'm like on the cruise now. Like I'm on vacation now, because there's like not that much more to do to take care of, because, you're like pretty much there. So once you get onto the ship, there'll be like people welcome you and things like that. And usually you walk right onto kind of the main lobby, if you will. You kind of like walk into like the middle of the ship, and then there's just like this gigantic expanse of like various like shops and maybe some like restaurants, and it's like very grand. It's all like this nicely decorated like space onto the ship. And once you walk inside, you don't really feel like you're on a ship. It feels like you're in some fancy shopping mall, like a really fancy Westfield or something like that. That's kind of sort of the vibe that you get. So from here, you want to go to your stateroom, because there's a particular cabin that you've booked, right? With a particular cabin number that's on your reservation and everything. So you head towards one set of the elevators, and all the while when you're doing this, there are like gays everywhere. There's like all the other passengers that are doing the exact same thing. Some passengers would have gone on board before you, and they're just like browsing, walking around, meeting other people, grabbing a drink, grabbing a bite to eat. It's just people everywhere, just passengers everywhere now. So, but the first thing you need to do, and here's a tip, once you get onto the ship, it's very easy to be distracted by everything that's around you. And you're like, oh my God, I'm on vacation. I'm going to go get a drink now. I'm going to get this and get that, blah, blah, blah. You need to go to your cabin first for two things. One, usually your key card is at your cabin. So it's either on the door of your cabin. So when you go to the cabin, on the door, the key card will be right there. Or it might be like inside the cabin. Kind of varies a little bit depending on exactly which cruise ship and cruise line you're with. Usually it's like just on the cabin door. When you walk up to the cabin, it's going to have your name on it, printed on as well. And the key card is very important because that lets you access everything on the ship. That's how you unlock the door to get into your room. And ships are cashless and they don't take credit cards. Everything is billed to your account. And the way that you bill things to your account is via that key card. So when you want to like buy a coffee or you want to like buy a drink, they'll ask you for your key card. You give it to them, and that's how you charge things to your room. So it's very important you go to your room first, primarily to get the key card. But the second thing is, you have some carry-on luggage. You probably want to ditch that there. But also you just want to give your room a check. So that's like the second tip, right? Just give your room a quick once over. Everything should be like pristine and clean, and it should have all like the basic amenities there. If there's anything wrong with the room at all, you want to report that now so that they can actually change your room or fix whatever is wrong before the ship actually gets sailing next. So yeah, that's kind of sort of the experience of like, getting to the cruise terminal and actually like getting onto the ship. It's always really nice when you like walk onto that bridge towards the ship for the very first time. For me, it's always, there's just like a mind switch that flips from like regular everyday mode into, vacation party mode. It's really, really nice. Yeah, so that's kind of like how you get onto the ship and kind of what it feels like. When you're on the ship though, it's like you just feel like you're in a building a lot of the time. So I just mentioned when you enter into like the ship for the first time, you kind of enter in this like grand concourse basically. And when you're on the concourse, like you can't tell you're on a ship. That's kind of like the thing that was really weird. The first once or two times I was on a cruise ship, because I was like, having never been on a cruise ship before, I was expecting like, isn't it like I'm on a boat? But when you're like inside and you don't have any windows or anything, you're like, this just feels like I'm in like some building on land. It's like, for me, it was like a little bit trippy because going into it, I thought like, I have some preconceived notion what like a ship is like, but if you've never been on a cruise ship before, when you're actually on board and walking around inside and checking on the various amenities and things like that, it doesn't feel like a ship. It doesn't feel like that at all. So it's hard to describe, but it's like a little bit weird. I've talked a lot about like the different parties and things like that. So if you guys want me to talk specifically about parties like the Atlantis nighttime parties and like the afternoon tea dances and stuff, let me know. I'm happy to talk about, the typical parties that are on every single Atlantis cruise. All of them are themed, and give some tips and tricks there as well. Yeah, but I know a lot of first timers or would be first timers watch my videos, and maybe the three of you that are listening to this vlog. So just a short list of kind of sort of like Q&As that I'm just gonna try to address like rapid fire style. So the first thing is, what do you wear in terms of what kind of clothes do you pack on a cruise? Most cruises go to fairly sunny, warmer destinations, kind of sort of regardless of the time of the year. So if there's one that's in January, February, or March, they usually go down to the Caribbean. Out in the summertime, the Mediterranean cruises in Europe are very popular. Most cruises, the gay LGBT cruises, don't tend to go somewhere cold. And if it is going to go to Alaska, like, you're going to know, but it's going to be like an Alaska cruise, right? So usually it's going to be somewhere warm. And then there's always a pool deck. So always pack, shorts and t-shirts or tank tops, like summer wear, right? If the temperature is going to be like, 75, 80, 85 degrees, and it's warmer weather, you want to dress kind of sort of light for that. But do not assume it's going to be warm all the time. When you're out at seas, the weather can be a bit unpredictable, and it can change, and it could be windy. So even if it's got like the most sunny, warm forecast for whenever your ship is sailing and wherever it's supposed to sail to, always pack like at least one like long sleeve jacket and like maybe like one or two lighter sweaters, and don't rely purely on shorts. Pack in like a pair of jeans, or just, don't just do like t-shirts and tank tops and shorts, because sometimes it might get a little cold. For example, like nighttime when the sun's down, and the ship's sailing, it's going to be cool and windy outside. So not that you're going to be hanging out outside too much, but like, you just want to have at least like a light jacket and like some slightly warmer clothing for yourself. Also, when you're inside, there's going to be air conditioning. And if you're the type like me that gets cold easily, you might want to like bundle up just like a little bit, maybe like a long sleeve t-shirt. And, instead of wearing shorts, you might wear like pants or khakis or jeans or whatever, because, just because you're inside, doesn't mean it's going to be warm all the time. Everything's air conditioned. So you might feel like a little chilly, but just like sitting there for dinner, right? So that's like the first thing I want to talk about. But people always keep asking me, what kind of clothes do I pack on a cruise? Is t-shirts or tanks, shorts, swimwear, because there's like pool and hot tubs and stuff. Otherwise, some slightly warmer clothes, almost like summertime clothing and also like springtime clothing. It's not going to get super, super cold. You don't need like a thick jacket or thick sweaters, but like it's going to be like a bit changeable, the weather conditions. Okay. How much do you tip on a cruise? So I just mentioned cruise ships are cashless and they don't take credit cards. So when you register for the cruise, either the first day when you're kind of checking into the terminal, like I said, after you pass through security, when you arrive for the first day, you're going to go to the check-in counter. Usually they will ask you for a credit card to associate to your account. You can usually do this before, like a few days before the cruise, or even sometimes 1 or 2 weeks before the cruise, and do this online as well. But you usually have to have a credit card linked to your cruise account. And anytime there needs to be money for anything on the cruise, everything is charged to your account. That includes any tips or gratuities you would like to leave, like to the bartender, for example. However, when you book the cruise, if you look at your receipt, there will be a line item for gratuities as well. So very generally, gratuities for most cruise lines already taken care of. That's why you see that line item in your booking details, whenever you book the cruise. So, but, it's customary or like optional in a way to tip your bartenders, for example. I think that's like one situation where like, when you buy a drink and you get like the little receipt, there is, I believe, an option to like add an extra tip. So if you like to tip your bartenders extra, you are able to do that. But by and large, you don't tip on the cruise ships because there's a gratuity that's already included. So David Lamb keeps on saying he never understands tipping, but in Australia, tips are not a thing. I think tipping is a North American thing. Like bartenders, in like a lot of different countries, they do get like an extra tip or something like that. But, here, like they ask for tips for everything. In the US, like Starbucks, when you buy a drink, the little tablet thing will ask for a tip. Like so many things ask for tips in the US. It's kind of sort of like ridiculous now after like the pandemic. Like everybody's asking for a tip. And David Lamb doesn't understand that. But he said, in Australia, like tips are not a thing. It's just not that culture. It seems to be a very like North American thing. Anyway, so yeah, you don't really need to tip on a cruise. But if you would like to, when you are at the bar, tip extra for the bartender, you are able to do that. All right. How do I get internet on a cruise ship? So every cruise ship now, there's Wi-Fi. But unless you're on a Virgin cruise ship, the Virgin cruise ships give you Wi-Fi for free. But except for the Virgin ones, you have to buy a Wi-Fi package. Usually they run something like, I don't know, it's like $15 to like $30 per day, depending on the cruise line. And some cruise ships, they have different levels of Wi-Fi packages you can buy. There might be like a more basic one that is like fine for like texts, emails, messaging, a little bit of like social media, photos. And then they have sometimes a more advanced package where you can even like stream videos and do like video conferencing and things like that. Very rough price range though is for like $15 to $30 per day of Wi-Fi. Usually you'll be given the option to buy your Wi-Fi before you head onto the cruise in the weeks beforehand. There's usually also an option to also just get it on board. So on the first day, you get onto the ship and then you realize you want Wi-Fi, you can still do that. It's $15 to $30 a day for Wi-Fi. It's pretty expensive, and I would say try disconnecting. Unless you really have like a need to have Wi-Fi. Maybe for the first time you go, just try to go without it. There are other ways to kind of communicate on the ship. And for example, most cruise lines have a mobile app that you can install. And within the mobile app, you can chat and message other people that are also on that same cruise for you. So it's not internet access. You can't go on Instagram or Twitter or Reddit or whatever. But it's a way to send direct messages, text messages to other people on the cruise. So let's say you meet some new people and you kind of sort of keep in touch with them. You both already have the mobile app. Usually that service is free or maybe like $5 or $10 or something to activate. And as long as you're connected to the Wi-Fi network on the ship, you don't have to buy the Wi-Fi, then you can send messages. Those onboard messaging services tend to be very hit and miss, if you ask me, for technical reasons I won't get into right now. But my favorite way to actually stay in touch with other people on the cruise is just using the phone that's in your stateroom. So there's like a wired landline style telephone, like a physical telephone that's going to be on the desk or like your bedside table inside your cabin. And you can just pick up that phone, punch in the number of any other cabin on that cruise ship, and it will ring the phone in that cabin whose number that you just dialed. If they're not there, you can leave a voicemail. If you leave a voicemail, the little LED red light on their phone will flash so that the next time they come back to the room to see the flashing red light to know that they have messages. And then they'll check it and they can hear like, oh, it's you. And then they can see from the caller ID where you're calling from. That's actually my favorite like free way to reach someone. And it's completely free and it's like very intuitive to like leave a voicemail. Like most people know how to do that. The more whimsical way to do it, which doesn't always work, is I've talked about door decorations on my vlog, on my YouTube channel before, where people like to decorate the outside of their cabin doors. So one popular thing for people to put on their cabin door on the outside where the hallway is, it's like a whiteboard or something that people can write on. So someone, if they pass by your room, they can leave you little notes. Not everyone does that, so it's not as reliable, but it's a more whimsical way to leave someone a message. And I've done that with friends before as well. So that's probably like the most fun way to communicate. I think if it's the first time on a cruise, unless you really need the internet for some reason, like work thing, I don't recommend you do work stuff on a cruise, on vacation. But anyways, I would say just try taking like a 1 week break from the internet and see what happens. My final tip that I want to talk about for first time cruisers is how to meet people, because I feel like for me it's kind of, well, I've been to so many of these, so like I kind of sort of, you know, it's like part and parcel. It's not like a big deal for me now, but definitely when I was on my first cruise way back in 2015, and I used to be a lot more shy. I'm not an extrovert. I call myself a extroverted introvert. And back then I was way more shy than I am today to like just talk to anyone. My advice for just meeting people and just making friends on a cruise, everyone, you just have to keep this in mind. Everyone on that cruise ship, all the passengers on a cruise ship are there on vacation. In everyday life, it's people are doing everything. People are going to work. They have to run chores. They're late for this. They have dinner reservations. They have to go pick up the dry cleaning. They have, you know, like their friends and family that they're hanging out with. They've got, you know, their own social circle, blah, 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 right? Everyone is preoccupied in a way in their everyday life on land. But when people go onto a cruise vacation, all those preoccupations go away. They might have came with some friends or their significant other. That's about it. No one has obligations to have to like go pick up the dry cleaning or have to like walk their dog or whatever. People only have time on a cruise ship to just have fun and be on vacation. So everyone's schedule is freed up. And because they're on vacation with no like work or errands or chores or any of that kind of stuff to do, they're much more approachable. So just keep that in mind. You know, everyone else is on vacation and in a good mood because they're on vacation and, you know, stripped of all their daily chores, errands, obligations, preoccupations, whatever, as much as you are, right? And they're also, you know, looking to have a good time and socialize just as much as you are. So in terms of your mindset, I would keep that in mind, right? And sometimes just having the right mindset makes all the difference, really. If you have this narrative in your head that, oh, I'm too shy to like talk to people. I'm afraid like people might not like me. I'm afraid people might not want to talk to me. You know, like those are your like inner demons, your inner narrative, you know, that is gonna make it very difficult for you, right? So part of this is just getting into like a open-minded mindset. So once you are kind of sort of, you know, in like a good headspace with that, and for me, it's something I kind of had to like practice, and like I had to remind myself, like everyone here is on vacation just as much as you are. Like everyone is friendly and everyone is there to like socialize. Doesn't mean you're gonna be everybody's best friends, but like, hey, you know, yeah, people are friendlier than I gave them credit for, because in my head I was very like, oh my God, I want to talk to anyone. So once you kind of have like a decent headspace for that, there are a lot of activities on the cruise ship that is very conducive to just like making friends. Okay, so for example, if you're a solo traveler, there are actually some events on the ship geared towards like kind of solo travelers. For example, on Atlantis, on the first or maybe the second day, they have a first-time cruisers kind of like welcome orientation session. And it's not like a giant mixer. There's like some structure to it, so you don't have to worry about just being like throwing into like this room of people that you don't know and just be like forced to socialize, like some sort of social networking event, which I hate. But it's actually something that's run and operated by the Atlantis staff, and they actually give you like some good information if you're like a first-time cruiser as to like, you know, really kind of tips that are good to have in like specific details, not like the high-level thing I'm doing right now. But, you know, like in that room is basically a bunch of first-time cruisers. And, you know, first-time cruisers tend to want to make friends. They don't tend to know too many other people beyond like the people that they might have come with. So that's actually like a great opportunity, even just that one event out of like the many events on the ship, to like see who's around, you know, get yourself comfortable with just, you know, being around a whole group of strangers, and then strike up some conversation. There are a lot of bars everywhere through the cruise ship, and then people like to just, you know, sit at the bar, have a drink, watch sports on the TV. Sometimes it's like a piano bar, and there's like a pianist playing something. If you go to the comedy shows, there's usually like a bar there. Bars, I don't actually drink very much. Very rare that I drink alcohol. But even if you don't drink alcoholic drinks, you can have like iced tea or lemonade or whatever, you know. And that's actually like a great way to just like in a very casual environment, just like see who's around, you know. Maybe someone will say hi to you. If someone does say hi to you, say hi back. I think that's like one of the most important things about meeting people. You might not, if you are comfortable saying hi to strangers, like for me, it's like kind of I get like nervous thinking about it, the introvert in me. If you're comfortable to like, you know, say hi to other people, like at a bar, you sit down beside someone at a bar, you're comfortable like striking a conversation, introducing yourself, saying hi, that's great. If you're not though, and if you're not comfortable doing that, but someone else says hi to you, be very open to that, right? Be very open, and, you know, if someone says hi to you, say hi back, introduce yourself, you know. You would be surprised if you just kind of sort of put yourself in a situation where you're around other people, even if you're like too shy or nervous or anxious to like say hi to anyone, as long as, you know, you kind of keep like an open body language and you don't have like resting bitch face. Even if you're just like at a bar, you know, watching sports on TV or something like that. Or if you're at like the buffet, buffets are kind of one of my favorite places to like meet people because I love food. But in the buffet, whether you're grabbing like a snack or like breakfast or lunch or dinner or whatever, usually there are high top tables. For the cruise ship, I like the high top tables. I love that because I'll sit at the high top table, and like sometimes people would just come up and just like say hi to me for like no random reason. And I've done it a thing where like, you know, I see someone just sitting all by themselves at a high top table, even if they're on their phone or something. Sometimes I just like sit down like across from them or something with my food, and I'll just be like, hi. You know, if they're receptive, great. If not, then like, you know, like I'll eat my food and I'll, you know, vamoose. But yeah, just being open to having others approach you and say hi to you and strike up conversation, and then being receptive as well. You'd be surprised how many people might actually come up to you and say hi without you even trying very hard. As long as you have like, you know, like an open body language, you know, don't like crouch over your phone and like cross your arms, you know. Even if you're just doing something mundane as like just eating dinner at the buffet, or like just sipping on a drink, you know, like watching sports at the sports bar, or, you know, just grabbing a coffee at the Starbucks or something like that. Yeah, so those are some of my tips for first-time cruisers. I've been talking for 30 minutes now, so I have a lot of tips on... I feel like I have a lot of tips for first-time cruisers. If there's a specific topic or type of advice you would want for first-time cruisers or not, yeah, comment down on the YouTube channel below. So, like I said, I was going to spend half this episode talking about gay cruise advice, and then the other half talk about something else. But since I've already been talking for 30 minutes, let's just end it right here. So I feel like I love giving advice. You know why I think I like giving advice? This is kind of sort of a little bit twisted, but I feel like giving advice and teaching other people something, like imparting knowledge, it makes me feel like I'm so smart, or like, oh, I'm so knowledgeable about this thing. I don't know. Is that kind of like twisted? It makes me feel like, oh my God, I'm such an expert in this topic or domain or whatever, that I can like give such good advice to like other people. So I get like the warm fuzzies from like giving people advice or teaching someone how to do something. But yeah, is that the way it's supposed to work? You get the warm fuzzies when you impart knowledge upon others because it reinforces that like you are so knowledgeable about that topic. So it's kind of so like a selfish thing, or yeah, I don't know. But anyways, I like teaching things and giving knowledge and that kind of stuff. When I was a kid, when I was like really young, like 6 or 7, I would line up all my dolls and I would pretend I was like a teacher in the classroom and teach them things. So maybe it's just part of my personality. But yeah, if y'all like more gay cruise advice, I might do, like, just comment below. I'm thinking about maybe doing more articles on my website. I created a website, justjoeyt.com, and my intent was to write gay cruise articles on it, but it kind of sort of like fell by the wayside. I don't think I'm just really like a writing, typing type person. But yeah, I could maybe do more YouTube videos. I haven't done those in a while. But yeah, just let me know down in the comments. But otherwise, we'll be back for another episode of the podcast next week. Bye.